Thank you, our MC. My leaders, all of them are my leaders because I've passed through their hands in one way or the other. And the guests in this room today, good morning. Or it's afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Waithera Chege. I'm elected MCA in South D. I'm also the Deputy Majority Whip, Nairobi County Assembly. And I'm also the chair of the political desk on anti-terrorism. Najua anti-terrorism. So, I don't know what to say after Daisy speaks. You know, she usually pushes us to the corner, and also to remind her that she went to a group of schools. when some of us went to polling station schools. So Daisy, I've been with her in the women's political journey. And I can assure you, when Daisy is against you, you can be sure. I don't know how you'll be counting the percentages. Having said that, Daisy also forgot to tell you that she's a member of Leader Katiba. Me today, I lead government business in the assembly. So we might not necessarily be on the same side on some issues. But I also need to remind her that the leader of Leader Katiba, who is Honorable Martha Karua, was my political teacher. And I've been her political student for a long time after I was handed over to her by Honorable Alice Wahome. So you can be sure that link of the women's journey in the political leadership, I've been mentored by quite a good number of good women in this country. My friend Juliet Muremi, I've also been with her along this journey before even she joined the office of the Registrar of Political Parties. And I must also say that FemNet, which is led by Memory, has also been part of my journey. Having said that, I was invited here. You know, Mildred always wants to keep on pushing me, but I've been very happy to join FemNet because of several issues. I see the group of Akinawini here. We have slept on the streets, asking that not women, please note the difference, asking that young women must be allowed to lead. Because what happened is that when the age of Akina Phoebe Asio, Martha Karua, and the like took the center stage, young women were left behind. And not only just left behind, because we were there, we realized with quite a good number of young women here, that there was also no space for young women when women were leading. So the reason why we came on board was so that young women can also be able to be recognized within the women's movement. And that is what we have been pushing. Even before I was elected, we did so many events and so many meetings asking the leaders of women movement to also recognize the leadership of young women within the women's movement. And that is what, even up to this day, I look up to all women who are mentoring young women along this journey. I see Akina Hamida here, who has been running for MP Kibra constituency. And I see so many other women who've been running for seats. One of the things I wish to remind, and I'll still come back to Daisy because I also need to demystify some of the things that she has spoken about here. And one of the things that me and Daisy, we are not on the same side, is that personally I'm for BBI because of several reasons. And which reasons I could have been ready to take you through here today, although now one of our agendas to guide us here is not BBI. One of the things that Kenyan women who gave their presentation during the committee was that Kenyan women were asking tusichaguliwe affirmative seats through girlfriends. Siyo ndio mambo mliuliza? Because nomination seats, as you have been saying, most of them, according to you, have been brought about by either someone was someone's girlfriend or someone was someone's sister. Now, what BBI is saying is that any woman who wants to be nominated after 2022 must go to the ground and seek for that position first. Kama hutachaguliwa, in fact, BBI, in my own terms, is talking about the best loser. Kama hutachaguliwa, na uko na kula nyingi kushida, wale wengine wote hawakuchaguliwa, you are the person to be nominated. And that is one of the things that Kenyan women asked when the committee sat. Number two is that IEBC must check all the party seats that will be presented by all the political parties in this country to make sure that the 1/3 or 2/3 that Daisy is talking about is well catered for. So one of the days that Femnet will call us here, we will also be able to break down that BBI. But because today that was not the agenda, I thought it was also important that I mentioned that, and that to remind Kenyans that this thing of saying that women are going to Senate, that it's not a good thing. I can assure you I've served in a county assembly. And one of the most powerful things you can do as a senator is to oversight 47 counties in this country. Because the monies, all the monies that are going to county assemblies, all the 316 billion, it is the senator's work to oversight that money. I do not want to say, and I do not want to get into the discussion of whether women are being brought down by being told to go to the Senate or being told to go to the National Assembly. You have seen, also BBI is asking that for us to be able to fill in the affirmative action seats, we are going to use the county assemblies strategy, which is a plus, because before then they were nominating 12 members to the National Assembly. So all the seats, it is now upon Kenyans to elect women in 2022. If they fail to elect women in 2022, then they will have to be nominated to go to the National Assembly. And it is important. In my ward, I've given out the copies of BBI. It is important, wherever you are, there's a chief near you, there's a church near you, all these copies are there. The newspaper, I think Nation and Standard, last week but one, they had put the whole document in the newspaper. So those who are unable to reach and to get a copy of BBI, I know those copies are available, and those who don't have, you can always get back to me. Having said that, I was told there are women who are seeking to run for office in 2022. And I will very quickly just highlight some of the things and how you need to prepare if you are seeking for a seat. Number one, you need to ask yourself whether you are qualified for that seat you wish to seek for. Many people stand up and say, yes, I want to go for an elective seat. There are qualifications and disqualifications in our constitution today. You need to ask yourself before you go announcing that you want to run for office. Am I qualified for the presidential position? Am I qualified for the governor's position? Am I qualified for the parliamentary? Whichever position you are seeking for, the first question, you should go to the constitution, check the qualifications and the disqualifications of that position. Once you do that, ask yourself whether you are ready to go for that position. Number three, ask yourself whether you have the financial capability. And when we always talk about financial capability, we are not talking about pesa ya kwenda kupatia watu kwa crowd. There is so much. Next time, if we have time, I'll give you a breakdown of how to use that budget. You need to ask yourself, there are some fees that you need to pay, either to your political party of choice or to other institutions for you to be able to go through. So ask yourself, do you have that financial capacity for you to be able to run for this position? Number 3, which political party are you going to run on? I have still heard Daisy talk about that Waithera and our other friend there should leave our parties. I want to remind you, and Daisy is also aware, in 2013, I ran on an Kenya ticket in Nairobi. And the people from my area asked me to join a popular party. In 2013, I refused. And I told them, I want to be elected because of my manifesto, of who I am, my good standing in the society, and those all other attributes. But one of the things that I was reminded by my voters, that for Nairobi, you have either to be in ODM or Jubilee, either in TNA or, what was there then? ODM and TNA still. And because I have experienced it, it is good to align yourself to a political party. I know there are people who would prefer to run as independent candidates. But political parties in this country play a key role in your political leadership. I said I was mentored by Kenya before I joined Jubilee. But I didn't join Jubilee because it was my party of choice. In terms of the things I was looking out for in a political party, Kenya then was my party of choice. But my voters pushed me to the wall to go and run on a Jubilee ticket. A political party is something that you need to think about when you are seeking for office. Because Kenya is yet to get to where me and you are. Until we get there, that is when we can now start thinking about, can I run as just an individual? When you're running for office, there are several things that people, maybe sometimes you don't consider. But nowadays, I tell people to consider something called social media, especially if you are running in an urban setup. Social media today is playing a key role in when people are running for office. Because you have to keep on marketing your manifesto. We have such a huge group of young people who are in social media. And you need to keep on reminding people why you are running. There are people who run and they don't inform their families. A family is a fundamental component if you're running for office. It is important, before you make your decision to run, engage your family. If you're married, it is important that you talk to your husband. If you're not married, engage your parents and brothers and sisters. There are people who run for office. At the middle of your campaigns, now you start seeing your family members doing a press conference. So it is important. I'm just advising it is important because we have seen in the past that these things have happened. Let me tell you something. The minute you are elected, you think that now you have succeeded. In my first 6 months in office, I personally almost resigned. Unaona hiyo City Hall? We now call it Kapendo. You know what happens at Kapendo? Sinivita. You have been watching Nairobi County Assembly fighting. You'd think that by the time you are announced as the winner, that now you can go home and relax. I want to remind you that is when now the journey properly starts. We get into that assembly, and again, all men now start saying they will be now in charge of the leadership in the assembly. And I thank God that the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties is here. Because also, in these 47 county assemblies, women should be demanding that we need to get 2/3 of the leadership of the county assembly. And one of the things that really makes us also not achieve this is what I call standing orders. You know, even if now we are working with the Constitution of Kenya, there are standing orders in the county assembly. And some of these standing orders, you realize that members can change these standing orders in the morning, and that standing order, whatever has been changed, will be working in the afternoon. You saw the case of your friend, Honorable Beatrice Selachi. You know the standing orders were changed that morning. They worked at 2 p.m., and you could throw out anybody. And you know now, out here, you cannot change the standing orders. The only people who can change the standing orders are the members of the county assembly. So that's another area, I think, Femnet, we need to do training to the county assemblies on. Because those standing orders can also make women lose the leadership of the assembly. And let me also remind you, within the same assembly, whether county assembly or national assembly, there are committees. If women don't demand that you also get a third of chairmen of those committees, I want to assure you that in that assembly, there is nothing you're going to do. Because the leadership of those committees will again now go down to something called the budget process. The budget process will be catered for all these sectors. And if the women leadership is not part of those leadership of those committees, that is where we still lose. Because men will still take their time. During that budget making process, that is where you are able to get your projects into that budget. If you do not make it to get your projects into those budgets, then somebody will be saying, you are also not able to deliver for your ward. So all these things put together, they are very, very important for us. And I would really ask, for those people who are preparing to run for office, as I tell you, it's not a walk in the park, but I also remind you, if we don't work together as a team of women wanting other women to lead, we might find ourselves again walking up the hill. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. I hope to meet you soon.